Hey, Dizzle Heartless, it's Tanko Styles. My friends and I, we created a free-to-play PvP clan, and we called ourselves the Pizza Bandits. We got the name because our base was the bandit camp in the wilderness, and we got the name because we would notoriously make pizzas from the pizza base shop there and the cheese and tomato spawn nearby. So we would, wait for the ingredients to respawn, make the pizza, cook it, burn it, drop it, whatever. Yeah, we regularly got outclassed by other clans, and I remember being so excited after school every day just to get online to make pizzas. If anyone was in the Pizza Bandits, that would be a random coincidence. But yeah, that's all, guys. Thanks for everything.
Welcome to episode 211 of the Wilderness Podcast. I am Dills. And as usual, Heartless is here. How's it going?
Hey, Dills. 2 in a row. Is this 2 in a row or three in a row now?
I have lost track. It's what do we have to talk about this week? Well, the Gielinor Gazette for May came out, so kind of they do this it's almost like every month they do this dev blog just to let everyone know they're working on stuff. I think it's from 2021 when we got no updates. People were like, what's going on? So they started doing these Gielinor Gazette monthly issues to let everyone know that they are actually working on stuff. So Maze came in. And what else? We got the PvP arena items are being pulled currently. So they're going by the time you hear this, they will probably be in the polls. We talked about it last week, but that's happening. The Kickstarter for RuneScape Kingdoms, the board game, launched, which it's pretty cool. So they've been teasing this for a while, but the Kickstarter finally launched, and I got sucked in. I ended up pledging for it because it looked pretty badass. But we can talk about that when we get there. And finally, there was a survey Jagex did about different game modes. I'm not sure where this survey came from because I didn't see it, but there's been some discussion on the subreddit about it because it had a bunch of questions about a bunch of different game modes that I guess could potentially come into the game. Not saying they will, and most of them probably won't be. But it's kind of interesting to say the least. But anyways, before we get into all that, Heartless, what have you been up to? How's the week been?
Good. Yeah, I have been playing, I guess. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of necks.
You're not having fun out
I'm
there,
not having fun. I'm like low-key slowly starting to burn on because of necks. It's such a shit grind. I'm almost 3 times the drop rate to see any item now. I've used almost 3,000 brews. I'm down to 2K left with plenty more that I can make, but it's still a pain in the ass. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's part of me says just take a break, but part of me wants to at least get 1 or 2 pieces.
Have you got anything yet?
No, I have the pet, so I can't really complain because it's a sick pet.
Yeah,
but 3 times if ignoring the pet because it's not really what I'm there for. If you're ignoring it, then yeah, I'm almost 3 times the rate for an item.
That's pretty rough. Do you know? So Nex is a boss that came out in January or February of this year, early this year, and they teased it back in November, and people are pretty excited for it because this was an update that came out in 2011 originally, and it's the God Wars expansion, and we hadn't seen a boss in all of 2021, and I think most of 2022 as well. So people are pretty hyped to hear that Nex was going to be coming into the game. But yeah, I hear a lot of people saying they don't really like it. Can you do you know exactly what makes the boss kind of shit to grind?
I do. Yeah, okay. I know the exact things that I hate about it. So number 1, it does so much damage and it's unavoidable. It doesn't matter what you do, what gear you have on, you're just going to get dumped on. It's just going to chip you down and you need lots of brews to survive the fight. So that's the first thing. These are in no particular order, by the way. They all kind of suck. Okay, the next thing that's terrible about it is you have to do it in teams. So that means you really need either friends to do it or to be in a free-for-all channel, and it can just take so much time to gather up a team that it's kind of painful. Number 3, there are some really stupid invulnerability windows on Nex. So like at certain portions of the fight, like for example, in the first phase, when it does the there is no escape, and then it will screech along one of the 4 paths, have like a 2 or 3 tick window before and after. Like there's a slight like a tick before and a tick after it finishes, where even if you can attack it, but you can't deal damage to it. So you can like you can hit like a ruby bolt spec and it won't deal any damage. So that's very painful. So that's number 3. And then number 4, probably the most egregious one, is that, I mean, there's too many drops on the drop table.
So just the grind being super long to begin with.
Yeah, there's just too many drops. And like at the time, we all wanted it. We didn't even think about it because we hadn't had content in so long. We were so excited to get all these new cool bests and slots. And I was excited too. But then seeing how the content is, like there's just too much stuff to get completion. Like you have to do thousands and thousands of kills. And obviously I'm looking from an irons lens, but even mains would agree with me, because that just keeps the price of the items so high. And I think for the foreseeable years, even after Raids 3, I think Next is going to be best money in the game by a fair margin for like a very, very long time, because it's not fun.
Yeah, it's like 12 mil an hour is what estimates
are. It's 15
are
now, because
15 mil.
Yeah, because you can go hundreds and hundreds of hours without seeing a drop, and then one night just get a drop or 2, and then all of a sudden you're up 1 bill.
Wow. So it's like, that sounds amazing, but I was seeing discussions of it and people are saying, well, the reason it's 15 mil per hour is because nobody wants to do it.
Exactly. The kind of people that are doing it are obviously gold farmers. There's a lot of gold farmers. I use the free-for-all channel, so that's kind of just where your average Joe would go. A lot of Iron Men like me who have like close to max gear and are just looking for those upgrades. And then there's also just a bunch of boys who have a lot of money and like making money. And that's pretty much it. So
right. Yeah, that's a weird problem.
And my guess is that Raids 3 is going to be fun, especially with sort of like the preliminary things I've seen coming from a couple streamers and content creators who've got to go test it out. They seem to like it a lot. And I reckon they're going to do a fairly good job with it, which means Raids 3 is going to be a lot of fun. A lot of people are going to do it. And yes, the items will be expensive, but I think eventually the GP per hour will balance out and be something more like TOB. And then Next will still be 3 times higher.
Christ.
That's just a guess though. And I mean, who knows, but it's been rough, man. Not seeing drops hurts as well. Like if I was on rate, it might be better, but even if I had 2 pieces of Torva right now, or like a piece of Torva and some Van Braces, it wouldn't change my feelings about the content itself.
Yeah, I remember when it was released, I was quite surprised because they kind of said, well, we're going to be, I don't know if they said reworking. In my head, they said reworking, though. We're going to be reworking it so it fits with old school RuneScape. And then it came out being almost identical in terms of how the fight was a little disappointing. Because 2011, that's, 11 years ago, the mechanics, like the bosses that they were designing back then are like, they're like, they don't really work as well in the game in 2022 old school RuneScape, because we just have so much. The bosses we currently have are so dynamic. Like there's so much going on. They're so engaging. So it's hard to just port a boss that's 10 years old without it feeling a bit off, I guess.
Yeah, and I like the idea of the fight. Like it has 4 phases. It's in like a 0 symbol with like the pits in the middle, so the maneuverability is interesting. Next runs around. There are some cool concepts to the boss, don't get me wrong. There's not quite enough there to make it a truly great boss. And the way that it deals damage to people, it like doesn't really KO you. It just chips away. And if your teammates are bad, it's even worse stills. Like if you have a good team of like, let's say 5 people has been my like favorite scale so far, because it's pretty easy to get like 3-4 kill trips. And that's it's reasonably efficient. Like I'm pretty happy with that for my gear. And if you have like one teammate that has like slightly worse gear, Next will target that person way more because of the way its targeting system works. Or if they have like a lower defense level or something, that person will get targeted more. And if they don't know how to do certain methods like following, it's not a crazy mechanic, but if they don't know how to stall the final phase, Next will just heal so much and deal AoE damage to everyone. And you could be standing under and like cutting the damage essentially in half, saving a lot of brews, making the trips last longer. So there are certain things that get and then you get two of those people on your team, and it's even worse. It can be very tilting. So I don't the only way I can actually handle it right now is going with a friend and like joining a team or doing 3-mans.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. This game's always better with others.
I just much prefer being able to like send content whenever I feel like it, and that's on my own timeline, not gated by other people's times, which is why I have an issue with things like Nex or Theater of Blood.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Whereas like Nightmare or even Chambers now, you can just send it on your own time. Like, oh, I got 2 hours to grind. That means that I can get 2 hours worth of raiding in. Whereas like, oh, I got 2 hours to grind. Maybe I can get an hour's worth of Nex in, depending on how it is to find teams.
Yeah, like most of the content in RuneScape is set up in a way that's really easy to, yeah, you got a couple hours, you can jump on, grind it out. You don't have to worry too much. Like the issue with a lot of other MMORPG games is that when they have their raids, they all have this system where it's like you can run the raid once a week. That's it. So if you want to start it on Monday and then you can continue that same raid Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever it is, until you complete it, until the end of the week where it resets. That sucks because you need to like schedule that time to do it, because it's not meant for you to just show up. Oh, I got 2 hours free. Let's see if I can do some raiding. RuneScape,
that's terrible.
It's annoying and it's hard for someone. It's good if you want to like dedicate Tuesday nights to raiding, but whereas RuneScape, they have it, so it's like it kind of works out for someone who has a more maybe
life.
you're of a more. It's gonna sound kind of, I don't know if is the word ironic. The game is very casual friendly, but the players aren't.
Yes. It is ironic. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I agree with you, but I would much prefer it this way. So,
yeah, no, totally. 100%.
Anyways, and I have issues with Tob as well.
Yeah,
less issues than Nex, but still a lot. Like if only Nex, like instead of dealing so much constant damage, if only there were a few mechanics in there where, you know, if you were in the right place at the right time, or if you prayed correctly, or if you had the right gear on, then your damage would be reduced. If there was like actual skill involved.
Right.
I mean, there is, you know, quotes skill now, but it's pretty limited. It's down to like, you know, stalling the boss. Really, that's all it comes down to.
They broke down like some of the way the themes or the way they design bosses. They did it on a stream a while ago, and it seems like Nex is contradictory to everything that they try to do now. Where they mentioned one of the things that they know like players really want is they want to be rewarded for being really good. So like if you can skip mechanics because you do enough DPS, or skipping phases because you can just, you know how to, it's very rewarding to be able to do that. It sounds like Nex doesn't have much of that, though.
And I mean, you go up there. I've made quite a lot of friends in the few months that I've been going fairly hard. I'm at 700 KC now, and I don't think I've met a single person that enjoys it. They like the money. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of people who like to get rich, but they don't enjoy the boss in any way. So
interesting.
That sort of leads me to believe that either they're going to release some kind of soloable version that will bring down the cost of these items, because I think Torvas is going to continue to go up. I'm not an economist, but just when more fun things come out, I feel like Nexers will want to move over to that, and there's going to be even less people bringing them into the game, but there will be more demand for it. It just kind of seems like simple math to me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, yeah, it's all good, but I don't want to complain about Nex the whole time. I want to move on. So,
awesome.
What have you been up to?
Kind of similar. You mentioned how everyone you talk to that's doing Nex seems to not like it. I decided to go down a similar route. It's a pretty big move, because for years I've been saying I wanted to do this, but earlier this week, I for the first time I stepped into the Inferno. Which that's a big move. I've never been in the Inferno. I didn't even notice that. Once I unlocked the music track, I was like, I've never been in the Inferno. Holy shit. But I've been holding off for a while, and I figured now is a good time to try to do it. See if I can get my Inferno cape by raids 3. We had Cam Wants Ham. He wrote in a couple weeks ago saying he was one of the few people who did enjoy the Inferno grind, and he did that by kind of going in a little bit blind, like knowing a few things what to do, but ultimately having to figure it out, like forcing himself to figure out all these other strategies without having to just like watch guides. So I was like, you know what? That's actually a cool idea. Maybe I should try that because I kind of have an idea of what the Inferno is, but really I have no idea. I know what some of the monsters look like. I can probably guess what kind of attack style they are, but for the most part, I don't really know what goes on in the Inferno.
How'd it go?
It went like I mean, I'm gonna say I thought it went decently. I ended up getting to wave 18 on like try 4 or 5 or something,
Okay.
which isn't probably great, but I was progressing. I was like figuring things out. Okay, I seeing a lot of these monsters for the first time without really knowing what they're doing. It was a lot of trial and error. But I was talking to some people and they said you should you're going to want to look at a guide at some point because there's a lot of things that aren't intuitive. There's not a lot of things you're going to be able to figure out.
You just have to study and learn and treat it like a big learning process. I also enjoyed like the process overall. There were some tough days in there. It can be pretty demotivating and mentally challenging, but overall I enjoyed the learning process, and it made me a much better player, which is, unlike Next, which is not really making me a better player. It's just causing me pain. Inferno, I think a lot of people find it very hard, obviously, but pretty much everyone that gets their cape feels that great feeling when they're done.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's the hardest content in the game. And I figured, you know what, if I can bang out the Inferno cape by the time Raids 3 is here, that'll feel really good. I'll be able to perform much better in Raids 3, and I won't have to worry about like it being an anchor and just ruining someone's party because I wanted to tag along.
I mean, like you don't. I think it's like a misconception that you need an Inferno cape to do content.
No, I think
like it's really not that huge of an upgrade, and a fire cape does the trick. Like you really need to be ready when you get your cape. Like you need to say like, okay, I'm gonna get this. I'm ready to learn the mechanics. I'm ready to make it to wave 64 or 63 and die 10 times. So that could take weeks before I even get a chance to get his luck,
Yeah, totally. And Magpies, who used to be on the show, I'm sure lots of people said this, but it was the first time I ever heard it was when he was saying it, and it kind of like opened my eyes to like what the fire cape or what the Inferno grind is really doing. And it's not so much the stat boost from the cape, but by the time you finish it, and you kind of mentioned this, but you're just a much better player. So the Inferno cape might not help. The Inferno cape's not really going to do much for Raids 3, but me as the player behind the computer will be that much better when it comes to like Raids 3 on release. So I am excited because I feel like I've really plateaued in terms of like my growth, my growth as a player. I got decent enough to do things, and then like that was it. I can do Chambers of Zarek, I can do Theater of Blood, but sometimes there's things that I'm like, I forgot that I don't really understand how this works, or I don't really know how to do this, but I have someone who tells me what to do when, and that's how I kind of navigate whatever it is I'm doing. So I figured, yeah, now's the time to do Inferno, because I've been saying it for so long. I feel like every New Year's episode where we're like, this is what I want to work on this year, I always say I want to try get my Inferno cape. But I think 2022 has to be the year for that. So we're trying it. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see. It's been fun so far.
I'm glad you have been enjoying it. It's going to come down to the time dedication for you, if you can. You got the baby with you.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We've been sleep training, so he now goes to sleep every night from 7 p.m. Well, he goes to sleep at 7 p.m. and then I go to bed at about 11 p.m. So that's 3 hours. each night that I have to myself, I'm going to try to send a lot of. Each night I want to send the Inferno for like 2 hours, maybe 3 sometimes. But me and the Miss, we're watching Ozark right now. But we sit down to watch some TV every night. So anyway, splitting my time between those two things.
You can practice like 1-tick alternating bottles with him. Just
Yeah, exactly.
Practice those waves, you know?
Sweet. But that's pretty much been it on my end. I've been just doing some revs just because it's so AFK.
Love revs.
Do you do a lot of revs?
Yeah, I've done about 6,000.
6,000. Do you get PK'd often?
I've died 3 times.
Yeah, I'm at like 3K kills right now, and I rarely
see a lot of
PKers.
I see a fair. Well, it depends where you go, right? Like Dragons is hot. Lots of Bofo guys there. That's like that max PKers.
Mm-hmm.
Orcs is fairly hot because they're like below 30, so people feel a bit more comfortable risking a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
There's also there's like the demons and the cyclops, and then just the demons area. I find like you get less like worse PKers over there, so I tend to stick to those areas. And they're also like best in slot for MSB guys like me trying to get weapons.
Yeah.
Even though there's only 1 left now, I'm 2 out of 3.
Oh, what are you waiting on?
I have the mace and I have the scepter, so I just need the bow.
Oh, the bow's the nice one. All right, that's all pretty awesome. Nothing else from my end. Should we hop right into the news?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, yeah, we got some news to talk about. This, I think we're aiming to make this a little bit of a shorter episode because I mentioned the sleep training. I got like 20 minutes before I gotta go deal with that. But let's see if we can get through all of this in that time. But the first thing we're gonna do is let's play a little bit of a game. Okay, I'm gonna describe a game mode, Heartless, and you let me know what you think about it.
Okay.
So Jagex apparently sent out a survey about all these different game modes to gauge what people's interests were. I don't know where this survey was. I checked my email. I checked the website. I checked Twitter. I must be missing it somewhere, but I couldn't find this anywhere. But somebody compiled all the questions and put it on the subreddit. So either this never happened, or Jagex sent it to like a percentage of people. Because sometimes I would get like surveys that would pop up in my email, which if you get kind of sketched out at first, but they were just for random things from Jagex usually. Anyway, so the first one that's pitched here, it's called Fresh Start Servers. So this is a new world you would log into, and it would be old school RuneScape as we know it today. This is for mains though, no irons. But basically, the entire server would be wiped. So the GE would be completely bare, and the high scores would be completely bare. The economy would be. The idea is the economy is just completely wiped. What are your thoughts on that game mode?
Yeah, okay, interesting. I don't know. I'm not a main, so it's hard for me to answer that question because that's almost like Iron Man Light to me.
Yeah, I don't get the point.
It's a new world group Iron Man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right, exactly.
I don't really get the point, but maybe it could be like a fresh start for people like that want to play the game again. But then people just kind of make alts or irons if they want to like re-experience the game. I don't fully get the point, and I'm not sure it would be great because you'd only have a couple worlds to pick from.
Yeah.
And God, our servers are already bad enough. Like if they add more that they're trying to maintain, like they've been bad recently, very bad.
Oh boy, yeah, that was a bit of a stinker.
Yeah, what do you think about it? Not great?
Yeah, I don't know what the point is. I don't think it would do well. I don't know if anyone's asking for this.
Okay, I am coming at this with an open mind. Okay, like I think all the game modes we have in the game are cool right now. So
yeah,
let's keep going. See what else they come up with.
The only thing I can think of for the fresh start service for people who want to get in and they know they want to grind out Zulrah before anyone else to get a lot of money from selling the blowpipe or whatever. I don't understand why anyone else would want to do this except for trying to get rich.
I mean, there's an appetite for new game modes. Like there's Iron, there's Ultimate, there's Hardcore, there's Group. And then there's people like Settled who are doing this, Tile Man mode or Swampletics, like region locked. So there's an appetite out there. I don't know if people necessarily want to play the super restricted ones themselves, like Settled does. I think that's more of
Yeah.
like a YouTube thing. Some people I'm sure enjoy it, but I think there is an appetite for new game modes because the game is so great and it's so deep. It's always nice to have new ways.
I'm a part of 2 different Discord servers that are for like Snowflake accounts or just like unique Iron Man and stuff. And there is a surprisingly amount of people playing really, really strange accounts. Like there's a person named No Currencies, and his account is about.
Yeah, that account is sick. I see it on Reddit sometimes.
Have you heard of Bronze Man mode?
Yep, where you have to PK everything.
Yeah, that one's cool. Where it's like you can't use a GE until you've unlocked the item, and by unlocking the item, you have to just get it for the first time.
Yeah, like if
PKing
that just came into the game, if they were able to just slide that into the game, no problem, and give the people a symbol like a bronze helm, then yeah, that'd be cool.
I'd be into that because
it has real integrity problems though.
Like if you want to buy, yeah, exactly. If you want to buy food, if you want to get access to food, you just have to unlock, whatever food it is once, either fish it or get it as drop, and then you can go to GE and buy it or sell it, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, like I feel like that would be fun, but then remove the PKing part of it because it's because look, I killed my max main with a scythe and Torva. Oh, whoops!
Man, I'm so lucky. Yeah,
yeah. So if they remove the PvP part of it, then it'd be sweet. Because then you could like imagine you like make your first brew, and then you can just go ahead and buy the rest of them. It would give like Iron Man mode like a reason for GP as well.
Yeah, and it's like you still have to grind out the scythe. You still have to grind out everything.
Yeah, like buying supplies wouldn't be a problem. So I actually really like that idea. I think it could be workshopped.
Yeah, definitely. All right, the next one that they pitched, this one's called Vanilla Old School RuneScape. This would be old school RuneScape from 2013.
I mean, didn't they just remove like the old RuneScape servers a long time ago?
What do you mean?
Like there was remember they shut down like the original servers?
Oh, classic. Yeah, because it was they just didn't want to pay people. They don't want to use dev time fixing bugs and maintaining the servers because it was like kind of shitty, a lot of bug abuse and a lot of botters and stuff.
I mean, there'd be people that are into like playing an even more old school version of the game. I think
this would basically be a 2007 server. No God Wars wouldn't even exist. The hardest boss would be Calfight Queen.
I mean, like maybe there's an appetite for it, but I think Bronzeman mode, as we laid out, would be a lot more effective.
Yeah. Next one that they pitched called Merchant Mode. This is old school RuneScape as we know it today, but there's no grand exchange.
What do you think? You're the main.
Yeah, true. I would say also a bad idea. I don't know why. I don't know why they're pitching any of these so far. These all seem kind of lame.
Man, our Bronzeman mode is the best one so far.
Yeah, that wasn't even pitched.
And it wasn't even ours.
Yeah, it's a RuneLite plugin, by the way, if anyone wants to check it out. It is a RuneLite plugin. Merchant mode. When RuneScape was old school RuneScape was released in 2013, there was no grand exchange at the time. You had to trade with people. And the idea of it is fun because that's what a lot of us remember really enjoying back in the day. But fuck, man, having to do it was so annoying. You'd spend so long trying to sell stuff that it just became tedious. You just wanted to play RuneScape, but here you are having to go to Falador Park and spend 40 minutes selling your dragon legs or whatever it is you're trying to sell. Mm-hmm.
Just like PKing used to be fun, being a kid was more fun. And we were children then. We're adults now. Being a kid is a great time.
Yeah, we would spend all day selling shit in Falador Parks. It was fun.
We miss the innocence of having no responsibilities and just being able to play RuneScape all day. And then, that's what we miss. We don't miss anything else.
And that's the thing. Like, what ended up happening was people kind of got around the system. There became a third-party grand exchange, Zybez. You go to Zybez, you would list items that you wanted to sell. Someone would want to buy them. They end up bidding for it. The bidding closes, you sell it to them, and you basically add each other, and you would meet up with them in the game, and you would trade them. But the annoying part is you would go meet up with them. If you were selling them dragon legs for 200K, they would be like, when they showed up, they'd be like 190K. And you're like, no, I said 200K. And basically, it's like, do you lose 10K because you're already here. You've already spent the 5 minutes meeting up and all that time. You have to relist it and all that shit. Or do you eat the, so you lose the 10K because it's convenient and you're already there? Or do you not do the trade at all because you're trying to make a point and you're trying to no, I'm not selling it. I'm not getting lowballed because it's easier.
Yeah, it's tough. I think overall it wouldn't work, but
no. And then they brought the Grand Exchange, so people just didn't like it. Okay, the next game mode is called Combined Easy and Hard Mode Servers. So basically, you can choose between an easy or hard mode server. They'd be released simultaneously, but hard mode would basically have NPCs pathing around objects to find you if you were in combat. So you couldn't get them stuck behind fences. Mechanics like flinching and tick eating would not be possible on these servers. Key boss fights would be made even harder than they already were. So like questing and other stuff, they'd all be retuned like a hard mode version. Then there's also easy mode, which is the opposite. Everything's kind of the same as we know it, but your inventory could hold maybe more items. There'd be combat equipment would just be stronger, and accelerated experience would be accelerated. So you'd be able to level up quicker.
I think the easy one's bad for this reason. Is the game is it's already very casual friendly, as you mentioned. You can just take this game super easy and have an absolute blast. And I would say the majority of people do. We are kind of in this sphere where we're enfranchised players who do a lot of sweaty PVM stuff. So we kind of see the higher end of the gameplay. And I feel the problem would be is all the play. I love seeing when there's new guys coming up, or whoever's coming through the CC trying to learn Tob or learning Chambers, or even just having questions about mid-game Slayer. These people might be lost, a certain portion of them, to the Easyscape servers. And I think that's a problem because our player base would be divided. But because the higher end community is smaller, I think it's okay to maybe make a server for harder things. So I'd be okay with that. But yeah, generally I don't think I'd be okay with
I think these are the best ideas so far, but I'm not really into them. It's an interesting idea, but I think having a whole separate mode that was a little bit harder, well, yeah, it would be a shame to lose people over to the easy mode servers who might otherwise be playing the regular mode, but yeah, I don't know. Okay, the next one is relaunching a permanent Deadman mode. So a lot of us forget, I forget all the time, but we still have a server which is dedicated to Deadman mode. It's a permanent Deadman mode. So you could play it today and, 6 months from now, your account progress would still be saved. Deadman mode, for people who don't know, it's basically PvP is available anywhere in the game outside of cities. And there's accelerated experience rates. There is accelerated drop rates. And if you do get PK'd, you lose the top 10 most valuable items from your bank. And again, you can get PK'd anywhere you could be level 3 and you can get PK'd by level 126. So they have those right now. And this idea would be that they would either relaunch those servers where everyone has to start fresh again.
I mean, I'm not really a big PvP guy, so
I'm not super into the permanent. I've tried to play it and I like the idea of it. I'm not really into it because I'm not into it. It's just so punishing when you die.
That's fair. It's very it's so punishing to new players, right? Unless you sweat for the first weekend, which is why I think it's similar to bingo, where it gives you an opportunity to just, you have teams and you just sweat hard, or there's some people who are playing more casually, but each team has a balanced number. Everyone just gets to play as much as they possibly want. And I think that's why the Deadman tournaments are interesting, because it's a short window. You can I'm sure clients take time off work and stuff to absolutely grind the shit out of Deadman mode. And then there's a little tournament at the end and then it's over. It's one and done. And then they come back to the main game.
It does exactly what Leagues does. For PvP, but this is gonna, this is following up. It's very similar.
It's significantly more DDoSing.
Yeah, just a little bit. But yeah, even the next question is asking, should there be a permanent leagues mode? So right now, leagues is this game mode that happens. It's very temporary. It's like 6 to 10 weeks long. It's kind of like they kind of really change up how the game works each time. So sometimes you're restricted to some areas. Sometimes you unlock points that you can then spend to unlock different areas. Last time it wasn't areas, it was content. So you could spend points to unlock different bosses and all that stuff. So unlike Deadman mode, there is no permanent version of leagues, and it's asking, should there be? Now, I know some people do. There is people who play the Deadman mode permanent worlds that has its player base. It's very small. It's got like 50 to 100 people on, not that much. But I think part of the magic of leagues is that it's temporary. So you get the excitement to play it if you want to play it. And it's nice that it's all confined into like the 6 weeks. It makes it like a fun event. It's like a party when it comes out. I think having a permanent version, it would lose its magic a bit and excitement. What are your thoughts?
Lose the charm, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And then once again, kind of like when we mentioned the Easyscape server, it might even pull more people away from the main game, which I don't think we want to do. Which is the thing that are great about like Iron Man specifically is everyone is still involved in the same world, so you can still interact and raid with mains and irons. Whereas a lot of these ideas are kind of like splitting or dividing the player base even further, which I don't think we want to do. I think uniting is the way to go. So whatever game modes come out, I would rather they be involved on the same servers in the same worlds.
Going back to the easy mode, the idea of it, I'm like, I don't think the idea is that bad, but I think many people who play old school RuneScape and quit, well, I think most of them are quitting because they just don't quite enjoy the game. I don't think having an easy mode would suddenly have that player become more involved, like wanting to play a game that they otherwise would quit.
We all stay for the people. Like at the end of the day, like I love this game, but I love my friends that I've made through it, and I've made them by playing in the game servers. So if you're just playing with other easy casual people, you don't have interactions with a diverse community. And I don't think your experience with the game will be as rich. And that's the problem with all of these servers, except perhaps maybe the hard man mode one, because that would be more like a challenge for people that have, quote, beat the main game or want to try something even harder, kind of like hardcore Iron Man pushes people's limits.
And then the last one they pitch here, it's called the Seasonal Madness server. So this is kind of like what we see with leagues, kind of like what we see with the Deadman mode tournaments, but it's every 6 months. This server would be completely wiped, and it's kind of like leagues where you'd have these servers that last 6 months and they have a bunch of new rules, a bunch of things it's just like, it's madness. They would drastically change a bunch of things. So they say this would give them some they would do some experimental game changes, kind of like maybe what we see with hard mode or easy mode that they mentioned above. Or maybe they would remove the Grand Exchange. So it's kind of like a mix of everything we've heard plus even more stuff. So really, it's kind of like a long form leagues, but maybe even wackier without there being worry of balance. People do expect there's be some balance with league because it's like a competition. But the Seasonal Madness server would probably allow bugs to be abused and random bugs that would pop up because of this,
Yeah, interesting. I'm not sure I like it though.
I think I like the idea if it gives the JMods room to really fuck around with things and like, maybe they want to test something out to see what would happen for a boss. So they like add these new mechanics to like Nex or whatever boss it is. They want to add all these mechanics. If it gave them room to experiment and see how players interacted with it, I could see that being kind of positive, but it might be the best idea of them all, but I think it would not be as exciting as people would think it would be. I don't know. I don't think it would work out. I don't think any of these would really work out if they were added into the game. I think they would have a very, very small.
You're talking about like the experimental server? I mean, there is a PBE, like a public beta environment in League of Legends where people do test out the things that are about to come out in the new patch and then give feedback to the devs to then, adjust accordingly. So there could be that sense where like people could give feedback on stuff. So I wouldn't mind them having maybe a server where they implement new things that they might bring into the game. And they kind of already have that though, right? Because they have the test servers that come out when new items might come in. So I don't really think they need this.
People ask for those test servers to be turned on at all times where everyone's maxed and you can take out any item you want from the bank. But they said part of the fun is that they get loaded up because they're only there for a couple days when they do pop up. So
I wouldn't mind that because I think it would be all right.
All right.
Kind of like how League for the longest time didn't want a practice mode to be involved.
Oh, yeah.
Like they were just firms, like they were really firmly against having a practice mode where you could like put dummies, have infinite flashes. So as soon as it came out, like players had an opportunity to like practice their skills, which would make them better at the main game. So, people got better at doing like Riven combos or, Lee Sin combos or whatever it was. Whatever your character is, it just gave you opportunity to like practice different combos or try different flashes or movements with your skills. I think it's just a fun tool that allow people to explore the game. So I think it'd be great if they stayed here for long term. It's just a tool. It's not like it would take that many people away, right?
Curious to hear what other people think. Do they are we missing something? Maybe there's an idea that we pitched that we both didn't like, but someone else is listening to it and says, that sounds amazing. I'd be curious to hear if someone would love to play a server that has no Grand Exchange. Maybe they missed out on that experience and they would be one of the players that did enjoy it. We'll have to see. All right, next up. Heartless, you got a little bit of background noise coming from your mic. Can you hear that? It sounds like a dirt bike. Heartless? Hey, Heartless! Dude, get off your dirt bike. Oh my God. Friggin' lost him again, boys. We almost got him. We almost had him for a full episode. All right, guys, you heard that sound. Heartless is gone. All right, that's okay. We do have some more things to talk about, so we'll have to carry on without him. But just so it's not just like significantly more quiet, maybe we can add a little bit of background music. I have this bad habit where whenever I'm trying to make something feel more casual and more chill, I slap a little bit of lo-fi hip hop in the background, beats to study to. But RuneScape, Jagex uploaded this playlist of lo-fi hip hop tunes, and it's like awesome. I remember I was trying to explain to a buddy what RuneScape was, and it's like I was explaining to him like it's more than just a video game. There's so much involved. They got RuneFest conventions. We have all these YouTubers who are making these really, really good series. We have lo-fi hip hop tunes that are official RuneScape music. It's a way of life at this point. Anywho, without further ado, let's hop into the next dev blog. And next up is the PvP Arena Revise Rewards. So there's not a whole, we talked about it last episode, so there's not a whole lot more to add to this, except for by the time you hear this, the polls are going to be out, or if you're listening to us way in the future, the polls are probably done. And I'm just going to take a shot in the dark. I'm going to try to see into the future here, having a That's So Raven moment. And I foresee that these items are not going to pass. They might, but we'll have to see. The reception on Twitter and on Reddit is predictably not great. People don't seem to be quite happy with this. They weren't happy with the first set of rewards as well. Now, the big complaint with the first set of rewards was that one, these are direct upgrades to other versions, and two, it's kind of, these are linked, but you can basically skip content, right? We had gloves that were better than Barrow's gloves. We had a chest piece that was better than a fighter torso. We had a 3-piece set of armor that was better than Void. So this means if you can acquire any of these 3 items, you don't need to do Barbarian Assault, you don't need to do Pest Control, you don't need to do mini quests for Recipe for Disaster. right? So people were, the big argument was, well, you shouldn't be able to just skip content. Creating your character, having to go through all these different grinds is kind of part of the game. So anyways, I think that's a reasonable argument to make. Now with this new set of armor, now these aren't direct upgrades. These aren't letting you bypass other pieces of content, but people are still not very happy with it. While this new set of armor is better than the first pitch, I don't know if it's good enough to actually get past, because a lot of people still aren't happy with it. Now, another thing they seem to have addressed was the first time they pulled these armors, they restricted the pull booth, right? They prevented certain people from being able to vote on these pieces of armor. They've done this before for specifically like Iron Man and Ultimate Iron Man stuff. They made it so only Iron and Ultimate Irons could vote on the content that was related to that game mode. So this is the first time they're doing it not Iron related. But the first time around, they did restrict it, but the restrictions were so low that a lot of people could still vote on it. A lot of people who did last man standing and got a kill, and a lot of people who did very little activity in PvP, if they did even just a little bit, you're able to vote. It seems like they're furthering restricting the next pull blog, and a lot of people aren't very happy with that as well. Now, I don't know to what extent they're going to be restricting it, but I do know that, like, for instance, last man standing, it doesn't matter if you have 1,000 kills in last man standing, you won't be able to vote on this. And the argument for why they're doing it this way is because these armors are not going to be used in last man standing. So you could have 1,000 kills in last man standing, but if you don't have any non-LMS or non-minigame PvP experience, then you probably won't be able to vote on it. And I think this also means if you've done Castle Wars or Soul Wars, you also won't be able to vote on it either. You need to actually do wilderness activity, it looks like. You need to go, and not, sorry, when I say you need to actually do some wilderness PvP. So this doesn't mean bossing, this doesn't mean being killed, this means actually fighting back. So yeah, further restricting it, and a lot of people are upset about this as well, because hey, if I do Castle Wars, if I do Soul Wars, why can't I vote on this? Because this armor will be able to be used in Soul Wars, and it will be able to be used in Castle Wars. But I think the issue that Jagex sees is that most people doing Soul Wars and most people doing Castle Wars aren't actually playing it for the PvP action. They are playing it to boost for tickets. I've done a bunch of Soul Wars, and yeah, most people are using boosting clans in order to get points for Soul Wars as fast as possible. So maybe that's what they were trying to avoid. I don't really know. So yeah, these armors are going to be coming out. These armors are going to be pulled. So hit up those pull blogs, or the pull booths. Next dev blog we have is basically just about the mobile client. I don't know if anyone has noticed, but you can opt in for beta features on the OSRS app. And I had done this. Actually, I must have done this way long ago because I got accepted into the original beta for the client, which was cool. So I think I already had it on by default. But it has been getting a lot of features, and I have been loving mobile recently because the features are so nice. We need a few more things, but it's really helps, just timers for potions and being able to mark tiles and all that other stuff, all that stuff that we take for granted on RuneLite. They're finally coming on to mobile, and it is a game changer. It makes, like, I was doing some Sire, I've been doing Zulrah, I was doing a bit of Vorkath. I usually hate bossing on my phone, but it is so much nicer with just these little bits of features being included, and we are going to continue to see a lot more, which is really neat. Okay, now moving on to the last dev blog. This is the Gielinor Gazette for May. I mentioned at the beginning of the show that this is the dev blog where they just kind of update everyone about what's going on. It's not always like this is what's coming out next. They just talk about really whatever the developers are working on. just to kind of keep us looped in, to know that things are actually happening. So, for instance, they mention here that the Tomb of a Masket, raids 3 that'll be coming out in August. So they say the designs that they're showing of these 4 bosses right here look really, really cool. I'm very excited for this raid for a lot of different reasons, but I really think it's gonna be very visually pleasing, I think. We have Giants Foundry coming out next week. So next episode, we'll be talking about the release of Giants Foundry. That's fun. So the Dead Man rerun will be happening sometime this summer. No dates yet. Last month, they talked about Quest speedrunning. So there's going to be a whole new server or a whole new world that you can log on to, and you will be able to speedrun certain pieces of content. It'll basically have a save state of your account depending on what activity you want to do. You want to do Cook's Assistant? It will set you up in a default location to run Cook's Assistant. You want to do Demon Slayer? Same thing. You want to do Dragon Slayer 1? Same thing. So this will allow everyone to be on an even playing field when you're speedrunning certain pieces of content, which is really cool. It's very, very neat. Speedrunning community is deep. I love watching speedrun commentaries because it's kind of interesting. And there we go. That is it for the month of May. Now, before we wrap this bad boy up, we do have one more thing to talk about, and that is the Kickstarter for RuneScape Kingdoms Shadow of Elvarg. So this is a board game that is being produced by Steamforge. They are a company that makes a bunch of different board games. Some are good, many others are bad. But Atomic Todd, listener of the show, wrote in to give us the deets on the Dark Souls board game, which is made by Steamforged. And he was telling me that it's a really good board game. It's a ton of fun to actually play, and it really feels like a Dark Souls board game. It's very, very punishing, and it feels true to the IP. So I've been following this RuneScape Kingdom, so I know that it could be bad, but I love RuneScape, and even if this just becomes a box that sits in my office somewhere to remind me of this thing that could have been, I guess that's okay because I ended up backing it, but it looks really, really cool. They had a goal to raise £100,000 in about 2 weeks. I think it was under 2 weeks. £100,000 or 126,000 American, or 157,000 Canadian. So basically, the way if you don't know how Kickstarter works, they basically have this idea, they pitch it, they break down what this product is going to be, and you can decide if this looks cool, do you want to see this thing made? Then you can back this project, and you basically pre-order the actual product. But there's a certain goal that it needs to meet in order for this product to be able to be shipped out and be able to be created. So if it doesn't hit that goal, then the Kickstarter usually is like, okay, well, we're not going to do it because we can't meet the minimum needs that we need financially. Yeah, that's the idea how Kickstarter works. They usually have a bunch of different tiers where you have like one tier, different tiers you can pledge for, which will give you more and more stuff. Yeah, so anyways, this thing needed to raise £100,000. It was able to raise that much money in 20 minutes of its starting. It's crazy. I did not expect it to get that much support. And currently, it has been 1 week. It has raised more than 5 times the amount it needed for the goal. So that's really cool. If you love board games, check it out. It looks really neat, and I could not pass this up. It has like the base board game, which is RuneScape Kingdoms, and they even say they try to keep it true to both old school and RuneScape 3. Now that being said, there are a few things that cross into the RuneScape 3 realm, so yeah, if people don't like that, well, that's gonna happen a little bit. But yeah, so you have your base game, and then you can also pledge a higher tier to get a bunch of different expansions, and there are quite a bit of expansions as well. So let's go through what these expansions are. So the core board game will allow you to do Vampire Slayer, Demon Slayer, Fire Slayer. What's that? That's the fight caves. You'll be able to fight Jad. And then, of course, the finale of the core board game is Dragon Slayer. That is quite exciting. But of course, there are a number of expansions. So let's go through them. There is the Recipe for Disaster expansion. There is the King Black Dragon expansion. There is the Calphite Queen expansion. And there is the Inferno expansion as well. So that's very exciting. And it's one of those things that it seems like as it gets more backers, it might continue to release more and more expansions. It's all very, very cool. There'll be a bunch of different characters you can play from, you can choose from, such as knights. And there's a dragon knight, there's an archer and a dark archer, a wizard and a mystic wizard, clue hunter and the elite trader. There is a skiller and rogue skiller. And of course, if you pick up some of these expansions, you'll get some bonus classes to choose from as well, such as a noob class. That's fun. Yeah, it looks really, really cool. I am quite excited for it. And I love that with these expansions, as they get kind of unlocked, if you're a pledger, if you've pledged it, you can go on and actually vote to kind of customize how this expansion is going to be done. They asked like, hey, we're going to bring out Bob the cat. Should we bring him out with a barrel of fish, a barrel of beer? You could choose all these different items that would come with him. And they do that for each expansion. Every single day, they allow you to vote on something new. So even right here, as of today, because this continues to make more and more money, they are bringing out Pirate's Treasure side quest, and they're adding a new weapon into the board game called the Staff of Light, which is basically the Staff of the Dead, but it's the Saradomin version of it. And then here's the example of what you get to vote on. It would say, would you like to fight Delarith, or would you like to fight the Dark Wizards? Who knows what that means, but whatever gets voted on and passes, that aspect will get added to the board game itself. I'm pretty excited for this. I already mentioned it. I cannot wait for this to come out. It looks like it'll be shipping in November sometime, but it'd be very, very neat to try it out. And then, of course, we'll report back onto the podcast, show you how it went. Okay, guys, that is it for news. So let's take a quick little break and we'll come back and we'll finish up the show. Okay, we are taking a quick break, heading on over to the Grand Exchange, and we're going to talk about how you can support the show. So quickly, right off the bat, if you want to support the show, but you don't actually want to spend any money, but you want to do maybe a little bit extra, one thing that does help us kind of get more visibility is if you listen on Spotify or if you listen to it on Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating and leave us a review if that's possible. And even if you're on this weird third-party app, if you can leave a rating, it helps a lot with visibility. But hey, if you do want to support monetarily, you go to patreon.com/The Wilderness Podcast. And it does help out a ton, helps keep the lights on and cover some of the fees of this show itself. So I really, really do appreciate it. And if you're our top tier supporter, then you get a shout out on each episode. So thank you to Yay Fiber, Szechuan, Splemo, Mallard, P. Jackals, Oh My Lord, Strosity, and Yolfi Ferrick. Thank you guys so much. And thank you to everyone else who supports the show as well. It means so much. Yeah, God, guys, I can't thank you guys enough. It's another way you can support the show, though, if you don't want to use Patreon, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/dills to do a one-time donation instead. So thank you to 2JZ Soup for keeping me caffeinated this week. And finally, if none of the above sounds good, but you still want to support the show, we have a Discord server. We have a few people who like to boost that server to help give it a few extra perks. So always greatly appreciated. So thank you, Twisted Soul. Thank you, Chick. And thank you, Battle Stabs, for boosting that server. Discord.gg/The Wilderness if you would like to join it. Hello, and I am back. Heartless still isn't back. Once he gets on that dirt bike, he's zooming. He's not even looking back. But that's okay. Guys, last episode, this is your final week to submit your suggestions for a new item, weapon, gear, whatever it is you think should make it into the game. Heartless has placed a bounty of 25 mil and 2 bonds. We might make it a little bit more as well, just to keep things fun. But we've been getting plenty of suggestions, and I am so excited to go through them. But I think what we have to do is we might have to save that for a bonus episode, kind of like what we did way back for the skill competition where people sent in ideas for skills. So we're gonna make it a bonus episode instead. So you won't be it'll be its standalone thing. Keep an eye on the feed if that's something you're interested in. Now, that being said, we are back with our questions of the week for you guys to call in and answer. And this week's question, I think it's got to be to call in, write in, and tell us about a scam that you were involved in. How did it play out? Were you the scammer or were you the victim? No judgment. We just want to hear the story, because we've all been on one side of it. I have been scammed many a times in this game, when I was younger especially. I have learned a lot. It has made me very untrusting for certain things, but at the same time, I feel like I truly am quite scam proof. I think it's really hard to scam me. Whereas I know others who don't play RuneScape and they get scammed, and then it's, for me, I'm like, how did you not know that was a scam? Like, I had a family member telling me that this guy came up and he mentioned that he had like one of those refrigerator trucks for keeping food in. And he said his had broken down and he had all this meat that was perfectly great meat and he needed to get rid of it. And he was like, I will sell you a bunch of it for X amount of dollars. It's super fresh, da 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 da. So my member of my family ended up purchasing like $800 worth of meat, and it was just like Walmart meat, and she got scammed for it. The truck didn't break down. She didn't want this food to get wasted, and she figured like, oh, it's fresh straight from the farm, perfect, and it wasn't. So whenever I hear those stories, I think, come on, like, how did you not know that was a scam? It was so obviously a scam. And I had someone telling me earlier this week that they had been scammed with one of those high risk world scams where they bring you into the PvP world for whatever reason, take out some expensive items, and you're dead. You lose all your items. It happens all the time to people. And then he was telling me that he was then getting recruited into that clan to scam other people. He didn't accept it, but my wonder was, were you actually going to have the opportunity to scam others, or were you just going to continuously get scammed by this group? They bring you under their wing and they just keep scamming you. The big scam, the very first scam I ever encountered that I can remember was the trust trading scam. This is an old scam we don't see anymore today because it is crazy how dumb the scam is. But basically, this person will take, this is what happened to me. He brings me to Varrock, some secluded area in Varrock, and he said, hey, I will give you 500K. It was me and there's like 3 other people around me. And this person was like, listen, I will give 500K to whoever is willing to trust me the most. Whoever trades me over the most amount of gold will win 500K. So of course it starts off small. Here's a rune medium helmet. Boom, 10K. Perfect. He trades it back. And then someone else gives him a rune plate body. And they're like, okay, great. 40K. And he trades it back. Then it's my turn again. I go, well, shit, I gotta do that one. So here's a rune plate body and plate legs. It's what, 80K or something? He takes it, trades it back. And this keeps going on and on and on until you trade him enough money that he's like, you know what? I'm stealing this. And he just pieces out. That's what happened to me It was brutal. And then you realize that the other people that were around you as well who were doing the trust trade, a lot of them were in on it. They were just friends. That's how I got. And then I had got another time by lending out my password to people that I thought were friends, and then they would just hack me for a bunch of stuff. That happened to me way too much. Have I ever been scammed in old school RuneScape? No, I have not. I've had people try to scam me. Someone tried to scam me with my T-bow. I had one person who would add me and they would talk to me all the time trying to befriend me, but it's very strange. I thought maybe he might have been someone who listened to the podcast or something, so we were kind of chatting, but he would start the conversation and then it's like he had no actual desire to conversate, so then it would just drop off after he's like, yo, what are you up to? Then I'd try to talk back and nothing. I eventually deleted him because I think he was trying to scam me, trying to make me feel like we were close, because he kept inviting me out towards things, but I could never make it. But besides, I've never actually been scammed in old school RuneScape. So that's great. But I want to hear from you guys. What's your scam story? What role did you play, and what's the aftermath of it? I know a lot of people get scammed for like a T-bow and stuff, and they end up making Ironman. A lot of people, that's how Ironmen start. They get scammed, and actually I did get scammed at the Duel Arena once, but that wasn't that big of a deal. All right, so feel free to write in, or you can leave. There will be a link to what's called SpeakPipe in the description, where you can leave and call us. You can call in and leave a message, and again, you can call in for any of the previous questions of the week as well, and we will still go through it. Okay, that about does it for us this week. Guys, if you do want to write in, it is thewilderness.podcast@gmail.com. We also have a Twitter @thewildernessrs. You can always send me stuff on there as well. Of course, our Discord works too. Just ping me or message me. Discord.gg/thewilderness. If you want to hang out with us in game, our clan is Wild. I highly recommend finding a clan if you're someone who plays kind of solo. You might have to go through, you got to find the group you vibe with, but I find that this game is so much more enjoyable with others, even if it's just people sending you a grats because you got to level up. All that sort of stuff just makes this game so much more fun, I find. So highly recommend that. Doesn't have to be the Wild Clan, but definitely find your tribe of people. And last thing, I mentioned I've been running the Inferno. So I run all my Infernos on stream. I streamed for the first time in like a year, but if you want to watch me do some Infernos, it will be a rough grind, but it's twitch.tv/thedills. I bought like a heart monitor back in like January. It was like $125 or $150. It was more than $100, which is freaking nonsense, but I bought it and I was like, to my wife, I was like, I need this. It's for when I start streaming. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be so much fun to watch. And then I threw it in my box. I threw it in storage and I never streamed. Never even went into the Inferno. But all of that is happening now on twitch.tv/thedills, so feel free to check me out there. And our song of the week is... let's do Beneath the Kingdom. This is a track that's unlocked in the Catacombs of Korend and the Giant's Den. This song was not released with the Catacombs of Korend, but rather it came out sometime afterwards. Actually, about a week after it was released. That's interesting. Oh, actually, this came out 1 week in 5 years after it was released. That is random. What? Really? That's crazy. That's an interesting fact. The composer is Ashton Mills. Shout out to Ashton Mills. Guys, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week. We're gonna rein Heartless in. Don't worry. We're gonna sabotage his dirt bike. Or you know what? We'll put a side card on it, so then I can at least tag along, and I'll bring the equipment, and we'll continue podcasting. But until then, we'll see you next time.